everyone, welcome back to Sweet Yellow House. Wow, it has been a little bit, but I am back and I have 5 cute little spring projects for you today. And if you haven't gone over to my website to check that out, please go do that. And don't forget to subscribe while you're here. Project number 1 is a little bucket that I acquired, and for some reason I had painted this queen bee a while back, but I did not either get it on video or I lost the footage. I'm not sure. So we're starting with a yellow bucket today, painted with DIY queen bee. And then we are going to go over and get our transfers from IOD, and it's Rose Botanical. And here I'm just picking out a couple of the transfers that I like, and I'm just kind of going to go through and pick out some and cut those out. Once I got those decided upon and cut out, I'm just going to start applying those to the bucket. And here is the lid, and I'm just doing my regular applying of the transfers. Everybody has seen this, and the only thing that I would say with this is that you want to make sure, especially if you're using DIY paint, that you let that paint dry and cure really well. For some reason, on some of slicker type of surfaces, you will get that paint will pull up, especially if you don't let that paint dry really well and cure to the surface. Then, you know, you go to pull that carrier sheet up and paint will come up with it. So just make sure you let your item dry really well, and then you can proceed to apply the transfers wherever you think they look good. So I'm just applying some of the text from those transfers as well, and once I have those placed everywhere, I'm just going to do a light sanding. I want this to look really country, like English country style. I love the way that this yellow looks with those pinks and greens and stuff. So once I have that kind of sanded down and kind of distressed, I'm going to wipe it down, and then I'm going to grab my Jolie finishing wax in the clear, and I'm just going to do a really heavy coat over this with a smaller type brush, just to make sure that I get in all of those little grooves and I'm covering that paint really well. Once I have that covered everywhere, it kind of brings out a lot of those distressed pieces that you see there. And then I'm going to do the bottom of that, and then just making sure that I'm wiping away any excess with a cloth. Once I have that all done, I'm just going to let it sit for a couple of days and let it cure. And this is the before and this is the after. Like I said, I really love the distress of the way that this bucket looks. You still have some of that dark background coming through. The inlet, not the inlays, the transfers are really distressed, and so is that handle, and it just looks beautiful. I just love, like I said, the color of this yellow, vibrant yellow against that pastel pinks and the pastel greens, and it just looks so beautiful. So project 2 is this frame and picture. This is actually painted, and I got this from the Goodwill some time ago. I never like to go over somebody else's work as far as like when they go through the trouble of hand painting something. So I'm not going to do anything with that. I'm just going to kind of set it aside and start to remove all the hardware off of that frame. My thought is that I would redo the frame, and maybe it would start to make that picture look a little better. So I just wiped it down. I'm sanding off, because this is an actual wood frame and it has like little burrs on it. So I just sanded those off and wiped it down again. I'm going to grab the DIY layer chocolate and start to proceed with my first coat on that. If you see the white part of this frame, I thought it was like a linen insert, but it's actually not. It's just painted to look that way. So that's why I went ahead and painted over it with the layered chocolate paint. So I'm doing a couple of coats here, and in between the coats, I'm just drying that with my embossing gun, and I'm just going through and making sure that I have full coverage. I turned that around and did the back of that as well as the insert where the picture is going to go, and again just drying that with my embossing gun. So here's the layer 2, and just making sure that I have full coverage on all of that. Once I have that back done, then I just went ahead and flipped it back over to do another coat on the front. And just that way, I hate sometimes, you do the front and then you think you're done and you turn it over and you have the whole back. That's why I normally like to start with the back first so that I don't forget some of that. So once I have that all dried up, I'm going to grab my Dark and Decrepit liquid patina from DIY, and I'm going to do a coat of that right over the layered chocolate paint. I love this technique. It makes whatever you're painting look like real wood, and so I just like to put the liquid patina on there, the Dark and Decrepit, because it kind of gives you depth of that brown color. So you kind of start seeing where it could be wood underneath. It just gives those layers of paint some depth in there instead of making it look flat. So once I have that all done and it's all dry, then I'm going to grab my DIY dark wax, and I'm going to proceed to put a coat of that over the front and the back. I grab a smaller brush, and just so that I can kind of get into all of those little nooks and crannies of that frame, because it does have some like designs in the wood. So I just want to make sure that I get all in there, and I'm just kind of buffing it in really well. I do the front and the back, and once I have it in there, I'm just going to buff that in with a soft cotton cloth. I'm not going very hard on this, only because I will go back a little bit later and do a final buffing on that while that wax is curing. Once I have everything set, I think that this looks beautiful as is, but of course I want a little bit of gold on there, and I'm going to use my gilding wax in the Empire Gold. This is my favorite. I use this for everything. Grabbing a small brush, I'm just going to start doing the indented area where that white was earlier, and just going over that. I'm putting quite a bit on here because I want that gold to really shine. I really want it to look just shiny and really completely coated in there. So I'm just slipping that picture back in there to see if I like it any better. So I'm just gonna kind of keep doing that just to see if I've gotten it where I want it. So I go ahead and do the inside of part of that frame as well, just to add a little extra touch, and that's how it looks there. So I decide that I'm going to go ahead and make my own picture instead of painting over this, or until I decide if I want to, give it away or do something with it. So I have this set of 5 canvases, and I want to say these are from, I think they're from Michael's. I'm not 100% sure. So this is a flat canvas is what I'm going to use, but they have these canvases that are a little bit thicker, and that comes from the dollar store, so you could use that as well. So I'm going to grab my DIY liquid patina in clear, and I'm just going to use this to do some decoupage. I have this picture, which it almost feels like a linen type of print. It doesn't feel like paper, but believe me when I say that if you mess with it too much, it will tear just like paper. So I'm not 100% sure where I got this from, and if I find that information, I'll leave it down below. So I'm just kind of going through and putting down some of that liquid patina and then pushing that print down into that. I was having a little bit because I did spray it with some water. I'm not a really good decoupager. I don't do it very much. So every time I do it, it's like the first time because I don't do it well, and I hardly do it at all. So here you can see I have a little bit of a rip in there. So I'm just going to go over it with my Mod Podge in the gloss, and I want to make this look like a actual painted photo. So the good thing with this is that you could be a little bit rougher with it because it does have that liquid patina holding everything kind of together. So once I got that where I wanted it, I just let it dry overnight, and now I'm going to pop that back into that frame. I have this little gadget here, and that actually puts like little, I don't even know what, I'm sure that there's a name for them, but anyway, it looks like a stapler, but it holds the pictures in. I got this off Amazon. I'll link it below, and this is a lifesaver. If you're one of those people that do a lot of photos and putting in photos and things like that, you'll love this little gadget because it just makes doing that so much easier. So this is the original and what it looked like before, and here are the photos of what it looks like now. I'm really happy with the way that this turned out. I love the gold detail on this, and the little scene on this paper, decoupage paper, is so cute with the cows, and then you're able to see that kind of texture on there. So project 3 is something that I've been using in my garage for quite a bit of time, and I didn't need it anymore. This little 4-compartment kind of cubby caddy thing, and the first thing I'm going to do is take the little drawer labels off the front and give it a good wipe down. I believe I purchased this from the Goodwill several years ago. So I'm going to use the Shabby Chic chalk paint in Licorice, I believe is the name, and I use this paint for a lot of my projects. I really like it. It goes on really smooth, it dries really fast, and it dries more of a matte black. It's not too matte, but it's more of like maybe a satin, I want to say. So I'm gonna grab my Lover of Flowers transfer pack, and I'm just gonna look for some transfers that I want to use on this little caddy. So after I let that caddy dry overnight just to make sure that that paint was really on there well and everything was dried, and I wasn't going to pull up anything on there. I didn't go back and distress this like it originally was. I just felt like it was better with the solid black without any distressing, and that it would just kind of really make these flowers, these botanicals, pop. I know that IOD is coming out with another release here in a day or two, and so it just really kind of got me inspired to use a lot of the stuff that I have on hand, because I know I'm gonna purchase those and have more to use. So I'm pretty excited about that, to see what they're releasing and stuff. So this whole video with all of my projects, with the exception of that last one, is using IOD transfers. So once I have those transfers laid down, I'm just going to go back through and add those little label drawer fronts back on. So this was before, and this is how it looks now, which total transformation. I love the look of the flowers against that black. They just look so vibrant. It's so pretty. So we're going on project number 4, and project number 4 is a little chest that I picked up from the Goodwill some time ago, and it's pretty heavy. I didn't really quite know what I was going to do with this, if I was going to kind of gut it and do all kinds of crazy stuff with it, put molds all over it. So it kind of took me a while to decide what to do, but I just decided to go with some pretty simple stuff on this. So the first thing I'm going to do is obviously remove all the labels and clean it really well from all the dust. Then I'm going to grab Fusion Mineral Paint in Oakum. I really like this color. It's kind of between like a, I don't know, like a gray green type thing, but it is a really pretty neutral color. So using this, I'm just going to go over this chest, painting everything with the exception of the little lock that's on the front, and I'm going to do several coats on this. If I had it to do over again, I think I would have probably done like a primer coat on here, only because there was quite a bit of nicks and stuff like that, but I just decided to go with it and let it kind of be what it was. I didn't want like something that looked new, so I knew I was going for more of a rustic type of feel. So I went ahead and used the paint, did several coats, drying in between each coat with my embossing gun. I grabbed the Rose Botanical transfers from IOD, and again I'm just going to go through here and pick out some of the transfers that I think will look good on this little chest. I wanted to add something a little extra, so I went ahead and grabbed the Lover of Flowers transfer set, and I wanted to grab some of those poems and stuff out of there to put beside these flowers that I got from the other transfer set. So after putting those on here, you see I'm just kind of burnishing that because you can really see the I don't know what you call them, the shadows of that. Only I think it has a lot to do with the color of the paint. It just seems like on darker paint you're able to see it better. So once I have those placed everywhere I want, I just go through with a little sanding block, not too heavy, and go through and just kind of distress that a little bit. I'm going to grab this Sweet Pickins beeswax finish here and use that to go over all of this. I am just trying this wax out. I haven't used it all that much, but it is a really nice wax. It's really like if you get in there and kind of stir it up, it gets softer the more you kind of mess with it. And it has a really nice citrus smell to it. It's really beautiful. I felt like when you put it on, it kind of softened that paint. It made everything look really soft. So here's the before and here is the after. This chest, I didn't paint it all perfectly because I knew I was going to distress it and I wanted it to look really old, like a really old seed box or something like that for gardening. And I just thought that the flowers and the paint color and the distressing all together just made it all look so cohesive and beautiful. Project number 5 is a little plaque that I picked up also, I believe, from the Goodwill. It's a little raised picture or a plaque of a peony, I want to say. And the first thing I'm going to do is go over this with Shabby Chic, again in that black licorice chalk paint. And I'm just going to do a couple of coats of this, just kind of making sure that I have good coverage with this. I'm going to dry those coats with my heat gun and just making sure that all the little crevices are covered over and there's nothing shining through there. Once I have that all covered, I'm going to grab my Dixie Belle patina paint in copper, and I'm going to do a couple of coats of that on this. I struggled with this little kind of picture because I didn't quite know if I wanted to do something to make it look like kind of like concrete or something like that, or plaster or something, but I'm in love with copper stuff, and I just thought by having this look like a copper piece it would just really look pretty. So once I have that completely coated, I'm going to grab my patina spray in green, and the way that this works is that you need to put down a fresh wet coat of that paint, and while the paint is still wet, then you apply the patina spray. So here you see I'm applying this paint. Since this is a smaller piece, I don't have to do it kind of by section. Although this paint dries really fast, so if you're working with a bigger piece, you're not going to want to like try to finish it all in one. You're going to want to do that in sections. So there was the before, here's the after. It really looks like a copper piece. I just love the way that this turned out, so unique. I hope y'all enjoyed my video today, and I am so happy that you chose to spend some time with me. If you haven't gone over to my website, please go check that out. And I do have another channel that's called Inside Sweet Yellow House. If you also want to check that out, I have it linked below. Don't forget to subscribe, and I hope y'all have a great day.